Man, that intro is bumping.
Dude, I forget. I was actually like singing the intro in my head before we even started the live stream. And I'm like, dude, I'm about to hear it anyway.
Get
Dude,
you
what's going
going,
on, buddy?
man. Not much, man. Episode 80 now? That's crazy.
No, I think it's 79. This one's 79.
79. Oh, yeah, I mean,
we-
close enough. Close enough.
Close
We're
enough.
getting up there. We're definitely not retiring yet.
If I didn't skip weeks, if some of us didn't have skip weeks, we would have been over 80 already.
Yeah. Going on, Kyle, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. And I think we got a pretty interesting topic today. Amplifiers, and I don't know, anything you guys want to talk about or have questions, that's what we're going to do today. I think it's going to be fun, and Casey will be joining us shortly.
Yeah, we should have Casey joining us, and I think we threw out a few other feelers. What's going on, guys? Yeah, episode 79. Just double checked. And it's how many amplifiers do I need? And I think it's a good question. It's a stuff that gets brought up a lot, and I get people to ask me stuff all the time. And I'm sure you get asked questions or see questions in the groups and all that jazz. How many times do you see it where either people don't know if they need more channels or they need a bigger amp or more amps, or just that in general? I think it's quite a common thing you see pop up. What about you?
Right. I feel like that and wiring their woofers, knowing what impedance and stuff like that, it gets kind of crazy. Well, can I run this at half ohm? Do I need a 2-channel, or should I run 2 amps? And should I gain match them? Should I bridge? It gets confusing real fast, but I feel like the more you do this stuff, the quicker you learn what really works with what you're trying to do and what you can get away with the equipment that you got. But absolutely, man, and I feel like it's a pretty good topic, just of, do I need 8 amplifiers for 8 woofers, or do I need 16?
For sure. and that's where it goes back. I'm glad you brought up the multiple channel stuff. A lot of people, don't even realize that, when they're either bridging a 2-channel or they're bridging a 4-channel amp, the amp's seeing half of what it's rated at. So you'll normally see, if you're from a reputable manufacturer, you'll see different ratings for, with it being bridged and not. You'll see it's at a higher impedance because it's seeing half the ohm load. So if you're wiring, if you've got a 1 ohm load going to that amp, it's not wiring it at bridge at 1 ohm. You're wiring it at half ohm, and then you have half the amp at half ohm, and God, probably the other half at higher impedance. It can cause some issues.
I've always been afraid of half ohm, just from everyone else's experiences, and as of late past year, man. If you know what you're doing and you got equipment that is smarter than you, because we're big dummies, you kind of learn what you can get away with. And I know there's trade-offs, does 2 ohms sound better than 1 ohm or half ohm? If you talk to an SQ guy, they might, beg to differ. But for us, I mean, power is kind of power, and that's what it really comes down to, is trying to utilize what you got.
Within reason also. I wouldn't always recommend, in a lot of instances, you're better off buying either a bigger amplifier, or it goes down to pre-planning also. Like, you want to make sure that you're pairing the equipment and the stuff that goes together. But generally speaking, if you know what you're having to work with, you're sometimes it's not better to buy just a bigger amp or buy a second amp. Sometimes it is better to do that. So I mean, it depends on really what your end goals are. If you want to add on to your electrical, and a lot of times, am I against wiring down impedance? No. But do I think, like, the average guy, especially that's not bankrolling, do you think average guy on his daily setup that's like, that you've already worked hard to buy this equipment and you're not planning on buying some anytime soon? Probably don't recommend that guy to wire down low, and probably overdo your electrical system, because if not, it's going to be a claim. Now, to you, like your average competitor and stuff like that, or a guy that's aware, like, hey, what I'm doing right now is my fault if it dies. I can't go, to a homeboy shop, or, at the, file a warranty claim and be like, this shit broke, Like, no, they can be able to tell. It
right.
depends on the instance, but yes, as long as you have the, and a lot of people say, oh, I don't have the electrical run half ohm. Well, no, what you're saying by electrical run half ohm is that you don't have the electrical to support the amplifier you already fucking got in your car, and like you already can't support it. So if you don't have, as long as you have the electrical to support the, the capabilities of the equipment in your vehicle, no, there's nothing wrong with half ohm impedance.
Right. And at the end of the day, I feel like the real answer is buy a bigger amplifier.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Sometimes, you can't get anything bigger. I mean, kicker, the biggest they got that you can get right now is the 1800. Before that, 24. Warhorse 10 years ago.
Sure,
So,
agreed.
you know, and if you got 1 or 2 subs, you only got so many options for how many amps you can run, you know, and like how Blake and Kyle were talking about, you know, run 1 amp per coil. And I love doing that too, you know, and it's just, there's pros and cons for everything, but right, you know, when you're trying to just get louder and, you know, you can pull a little bit more power out of your amp, you can do it. But like you were saying, you know, the whole, can you afford it if your amplifier dies? You know, do you got the homie hookup amp repair guy? And, you know, are you running equipment with the electrical that is a good thing to do? Where, you know, maybe some amplifiers aren't built as tough, aren't as smart or dummy proof per se.
Oh, for sure. And,
you know,
I'm aware too, like, and I say half of them is fine. I also mean, like, yeah, you're going to have a nice enough piece of equipment that's, you know, ability to support that, you know, though you can't go, don't go think you're going to go, you know, buy a cheapo and do that. But two-sided coin, I usually like to go by the ratings. I like to overdo, just like you said, get a bigger amplifier than I actually need. And if you see, and I don't want to speak for everyone, but if you see most big setups, what is like multi-subwoofers, the big SUVs, the competitor guys, especially the demo guys, you'll see an instance where they go where it's more smaller amplifiers than one big one. And I made that trade-off myself, you know, in the excursion.
yeah.
And we're talking about strictly subwoofers right now, guys. We're going to go into mids and highs and stuff after. We're talking about amps on subs right now. But, you know, obviously it's more face value power, but I went with the Salt 12K on the 6 XP3s to the 8K per sub, and there was a night and day difference going with the multiple smaller amplifiers than it was having the one big amp. Now, overall loudness, you know, I did gain 2 decibels, which is loud or not loud by respective of how you want to look at it, because there's a pretty big cost difference in that. But the Salt 12K was about the same loudness when I was hard clipping it. You know, if I really wanted it to be windy and stuff like that, I could clip it. Well, then your voltage is tanking. Well,
Yep.
The cool thing on that is having the bigger amplifiers. I wasn't even working them as hard. I was nowhere near clipping before I was at that point to where I was happy before, where I was having to clip the previous setup to get it, you know, to have it perform how I wanted.
Right, and that's almost just, in a sense, just running a bigger amplifier where you're not
And
having
my
to
voltage
push
stayed
that.
up higher because I wasn't clipping, because your voltage is tanking the hardest when you're clipping.
Yep, and
It
I
seems
would love
crazy to me to take one 12K out and put 6 8Ks in and see better voltage than the 12K clipping it.
True. Yeah, I mean, you had 42,000 watts on tap compared to what's the Salt 12K actually do? Like 16 or something like that
Between 16
on a
and
good
20.
day.
Realistically,
Yeah.
they have seen 20. Like I have seen 20 plus, but realistically, average guy, me with 6 subs on it, am I going to see 20K out of it? No.
Yeah. Well, there's your 2 dBs, man. Double the power. You know, in an easy way to put it. And having 1 amp, you're kind of stuck with wiring in 1 or 2 configurations. Having 8 really gives you a lot more variables, or, you know, hey, I can bridge these, or I can gain match these and run these 4 onto 4 and these on 4 onto 4 and have different impedance loads because you got more amplifiers. But then that's the whole thing too. Like, okay, know what you're going into beforehand, because then maybe 4 might work better than 8 just because, you know, hey, these amplifiers with what subs I got at the impedance that I can wire it at will work better. And that's, it's hard, man. You really got to plan your setup, and from A to Z. You can't skip to M and then be like, all right, well, what can I do?
I do recommend, though, with smaller subwoofers, and I'm not talking about like your conventional stamp steel single slug cheapo sub, but like your modern entry level to mid range subwoofer. I wouldn't put anything less than like 1,000 watt RMS amp on any of the 8s, fucking 6.5s, if I had a pair of them, whatever. Like, I tell, you know, I get a lot of customers and dealers that are really, really strict. They're like, they need this exact amp to match the exact face value power. I'm like, hey, bro. And so I realize, like, if that's the way you want to sell it to the customer, that's cool. Or that makes you feel good at night or sleep better at night, that's cool. But I was like, you know, realistically, it's not you're not seeing, you know, you're not even in one plug into the wall. You're not seeing some constant freaking sign. You know, it's not the constant power. Music's dynamic, and you want that overhead, because if we're making, you know, we're seeing impedance rise and voltage drop, generally speaking, the instantly you're going to be above the impedance that you were at, or depending on what note you're playing and all that stuff. And you're not going to be seeing that face value power anymore. So you want a little overhead to not be clipping that bad boy.
You know what's crazy too, and even wiring down, you know, at least on most amplifiers and stuff like that, and say you reach the power that your sub can handle mechanically and things along those lines, where you might not even need to per se clip because you're already getting the power that you want out of your driver because you're wired down, rather than trying to force the amplifier to do more power being wired higher. I
Sure.
noticed with Kayla's car being wired at half ohm compared to 1 on that KXA 2400, stock alt, 1 AGM in the back, that's it. And I am getting a lot more where I want without having to clip per se to be as loud as I want.
If you know, let's say you had the load of those 4 drivers on there, or the driver on there, if you're that starting point, man, you know, that rise starting point, and if you're starting at half and it's going up to 1 and above versus starting at 1 and going up, it's a pretty significant power difference.
That multiplier, man, it's a pain in the butt. You know, if you got times 4 at 1, you're at 4. Okay, that's not great. But if you're at 2, you know, you're at 8. You know, how much power does your amp do at 8? Not, you know, and I'm sure it's usually double, but it depends the amp. But yeah, that being at that half ohm, it's kind of that sweet spot, because most amplifiers are 1 ohm stable with a lot of, you know, box rise, you know, the impedance curve. If you're playing where your enclosure is really loud at, you're going to have a lot of impedance, just, you know, just how it works, and where it's going to be loud and where you want to play. And that's where it works the best, unless you're trying to, you know, really push it too hard. And then you can run into, okay, maybe the amplifier, the impedance is dropping and you see below 1 ohm. And that does happen, usually on music, on dynamic burst, because the woofer, in a way, doesn't have time to like build compression in the enclosure. But with sine waves, with rebase stuff that we listen to, it's kind of safe to say it works for a lot of stuff. I just noticed the big difference, you know, between Spotify music and rebase.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I talk too much.
Don't get me wrong. The kicker coils are probably dead pretty fucking on, if I had to guess. But you're also not always gonna, you know, your nominal impedance, the rated impedance, your coil might not always be perfect sometimes. So especially either you might have a D2 and you're wiring it to 1. They actually might be, you know, like D1.97s or D1.9, you know, something like that. And all reality, as long as I see above that 0.5 mark on the thing, if it's especially on average guy's thing, if it's 0.7, 0.8, whatever, it's a 1 ohm low, dude. Because immediately, as soon as it starts playing music, it's going to be above that. But two-sided coin that can also work against you. It also, you start daisy chaining those subs together, you might be 0.3, 0.4 above your rated nominal impedance already, just by having that much added connection.
Right, yeah, like you said, they're not dead on. They're not.
Well, there are a lot of coils that are. I mean, like, again, there are a lot of coils that are the, you know, true dual coil. You know, like but like a lot of the sundown, like they're dead on.
Oh wow!
But
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I thought they kind of were just all off. You know, just close enough. Yeah, it's 1 ohm. Yeah. That's crazy. I mean, that's cool. You know, especially when guys are wiring at 1/4 ohm. They want to make sure they're at 1/4 ohm and not 0.19, you know, because that might make a difference.
And that's where it kind of does get out of, I don't, what's going on, Tony? Yeah, it does get out of my realm. I am not an expert on the guys that take and do the really low impedance burps and stuff like that. That is not my realm, and I'm not going to speak out of the turn on that one. But looks like we got a lot of people in here tonight. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and move into mids and highs. I think really with that it begins with, you're going to want a head unit. You're either going to, and it got told to me quite a few years ago this way, you're either going to spend the money on a source unit for your vehicle, a head unit that's got, I like have it 6 channels out, front and rear subwoofer, and you know, obviously it's 2023, we like some other features, but we'll just talk about audio. 6 channels out, you're going to spend the money on that, or you're going to spend that money and more to get a clean signal out of your factory OEM interface, okay? So just because you think that you're going to keep the stock radio, okay, do not think that you're not going to spend that extra money or more that radio would cost into getting a clean output and signal from your factory vehicle to hook amplifiers up to it. And so that's going to start one on how many amplifiers do I need, because you're going to need inputs to go to them bad boys. And I don't mean pulling high level off your freaking speaker. I mean, like, you're going to want a clean input to go forward with that. But
you're telling me I can't just tap my speakers to my 6x9s and hook it up to my amp?
It's gonna sound fucking great, Andy. And like, that's what's funny too. I'll have like a dealer, somebody hit me up and like, dude, I shit you not, I had this shop, okay? They call me up and I was selling a product. And I'm like, hey man, you're gonna really like these amplifiers. Like these amplifiers sound great, and I'm not gonna dig into the brand and all that stuff, so it doesn't seem biased. Check out these amps. You're gonna like them. You're not gonna regret getting them. This guy sells them to his customer. He hits me up like 2 days later. Hey man, these amps sound like shit. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? How is he making these things sound bad? Okay, so
Right.
okay, boom. I'm like, bro. All right, cool. I'll be there first thing in the morning. I'm gonna check out these amps for you, see what's going on there. Dude has a monoblock amplifier, like 1,000 watt, and a 4-channel and a separate 2-channel. Okay.
Okay.
He had high leveled off like 3 is a fucking Range Rover, dude. Had this wire master mess pulling out of the rear cabin of it, and was using like fucking what's the Soundstream high level fucking motorcycle converter thing. They're like waterproof ones. Tapping off each one of these fucking factory speakers at high level, going into these nice ass amps that have high level inputs built into them, and I'm like, okay, here's where it gets better. So I'm like, okay, yeah, this does sound like shit because you're tapping off like 3 speakers. He was doing like front right door, like rear left, and like a fucking tweeter off another one, trying to do the whole sound system off of it. A. B. The car had an aftermarket radio in it, okay? So it happened to have like an aftermarket, like Pioneer that's meant for these Range Rovers, where it has the screen here, but the actual mounting, the physical box for the radio isn't actually behind the radio. It has like a data cable, and it goes off and gets mounted up on the dash. And I'm like, hey man, this thing has a radio in it. Why are you high leveling in these fucking speakers? He's like, oh, well, it's going to be a lot of work. This is a lot of money. And I'm like, wait, well, first off, no, like, yeah, you're talking about this a lot of money. This is an expensive ass car. It's got expensive ass equipment in it. It needs to be, the proper shit in it. This guy's paying for that to get done. A, but B, I was like, no, dude, we got to find the brain box of this. So I had his guy pull the dash apart. He's fucking pissed I'm making him redo all this shit, to be honest with you. Pull the dash apart. I literally follow the fucking data cable. It comes out of the radio to the radio box, like hidden up into the dash. Boom, 6 channels of output. I was like, bro, all right. I was like, get me a fucking amp kit. I was like, we're about to run an RCA over the fucking carpet and everything. So I literally took the front channels and unplugged all the RCAs out of his junk back there, plugged in the fucking sub channels and the fucking front door ones, ran it over the carpet, all that shit. And I ran back to the back, slapped the fucking quick tune on it with high pass, and it sounded great. And I was like, bro, I need you to make sure that you're having like a competent technician work on this stuff that like A, these customers are paying for, like B, before you're calling me and telling me this shit sounds like shit. Because like I just wasted my time and came out here and did this job for you for obviously something's not to go from that.
Yeah, but you got them right, and a lot of people do that because they're like, well, I don't want to do the work, but with something that drastic, I mean, you're gonna hear a nice sound quality difference between what he had going on.
Does everyone need DSP and crazy and radio stuff like that? No. Going back to it, I like to have 6 channels of output. When I see an aftermarket radio, especially like upgraded tablets and all that jazz, and I see 2 RCAs coming out of it, I'm going fuck that in the butt. Because I'm gonna have to split that off and do.
Yo, what?
Bro, you got that new Bassaholic shirt.
KC,
yeah,
I like
so
it.
I was talking about when we're talking about obviously how many amps do I need?
Having amps what?
I want to get a radio that generally at least has 6 channels of output, front, rear, and subwoofer. And I even like cheap Kenwoods, cheap JVCs, all that stuff, because they actually normally have high pass, low pass, and all that shit built into the radio. You can do out. And I like to have an amplifier, generally speaking. You can get something in the $250 to $350 minimum dollar range for a 4-channel that's going to have a 10x multiplier and be able to run 4 channels, if not 2, all of it off 2 channels of input. So if you have an amplifier that has 10x multiplier and you can do multiple channels of it.
You're talking about crossovers, right? The 10x multiplier?
Yes.
Okay.
Boom, you've got tweeters and mids, or you've got front and rear in one amplifier. But depending on the vehicle, if I'm doing coaxial drivers, a basic 4-channel is going to be fine because you don't have independent crossover networks or anything. I would take and do. That's why I couldn't be a businessman. I don't really do much of them anymore. But either way, if you need more, depending on how many channels you want to get down to, and Tony, that's a good point. 5 channels are great. And what are you wanting to do? Casey, you're a pretty good fucking expert on that. When you're taking and deciding how many amplifiers in a system you need, what would go into your planning in that?
Just however many channels you need, and separate them from left to right at least to do stereo. So I want to make sure that if they don't have passive crossovers, I want to make sure every speaker is addressable and able to be crossed over into its own frequency range.
Yeah,
right.
Because otherwise, you're just forcing it to do something it's not designed to do.
I think
you don't want to
Casey
mess
agrees
left
on this
with
one
right.
too. Hot take in 2023: if you have like your average customer or most average all installs, if you're buying a high-end quality component set and you're not going to try to go compete with SSQ, the passive inline crossover is usually pretty fucking good today.
Yeah,
it's not 1995 anymore.
No,
yeah, I'm running the passive crossovers on my Focal Utopias, and I think they sound fantastic.
Yeah,
fantastic.
I have never used passive crossovers. I've seen them, installed them. I just never personally used them. I like the active just because I have all control between the head unit, between the amplifier. If I, need to tweak something additionally, but I don't know. I mean, passive, active. I don't know. Some people just swear by passive, but I feel like you got to know what kind of passive crossover you have too, because don't those even have power limitations as well as the speaker?
Yeah, but generally speaking, you're not going to be running into the limits of the don't get me wrong. There's the guys that have the power to do that, but if the guy that's running a 3-way active set is not going to be throwing 1,000-watt model, single channel outdoor on that. You know what I mean?
Have you seen the down for sound amplifiers? It's like 1,000 each channel on the 4-channel. It's like, come on, man.
Not my fucking horn playing on a door speaker, bro.
Man.
But and we're a lot of people. I'm sorry, Casey.
Remember when I put the 3002 on my front door? It's like way too much. I had to gain all the way down, and it was just fucking. I couldn't turn it down enough. I had to turn the input or the output level down from the radio.
Jeez.
And you really don't need a ton of power in your front soundstage to get really loud. Like a lot of people still were mind blown in the excursion when they found out the whole front soundstage was a 1.6 channel, 100 by 6 amp that I was probably not seeing much of all power out of. But and another thing that people get into where they start messing up and they lose power or lose sound is when they either integrate inline crossovers or they're stacking crossovers from their head unit to their amplifiers, which we've talked about this before, but we can obviously beat a dead horse with it. Try to make sure that you're not stacking crossover slopes and in your frequencies, combining the radio and combining the amps. And don't get me wrong, you can stack crossovers if you know what you're doing. You're doing it intentionally to either create a crazy lower slope after another one or use it into a bandpass.
The only time I ever per se stack is whenever I'm trying to play something that maybe doesn't have as much bass, so I can open it up a little bit more rather than having it capped off.
Yeah, like have a really sharp roll off, like almost like a brick wall filter.
Yep.
For sure.
If you have a 48 dB crossover, like a low pass or a high pass filter, it's a brick wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And another thing, generally speaking, if you're doing a component set though, and you're not using the passive crossovers, dude, you've got to use separate channels for your tweeters and your mid bass, because you're going to want to be able to adjust the loudness of the mid range and the tweeter off of it. Trust me, Ben doesn't get that t-shirt. I have daisy chained with a bass blocker, my tweeter off my mid-range bass. Does it work? Hell yeah. But then you end up catching yourself going in and EQing, adjusting things, affecting your whole frequency band. And, depending on whatever music you're playing. And then it's really not the right way to do it.
Right.
You go in there and just dropping off the end, tweeters down or tweeters up, and you're just fucking cranking on it.
Yeah. I seen a question.
That's distortion.
Tebow earlier here. How big do your wires have to be to run something like 0.25 impedance or resistance? That feels like some serious power.
It's got to be at least
movement.
like 4 aught. You've got to go outside. So what I like to do when I run quarter ohm is I'll go out there, and the wires that hold the power poles up. I'll cut some of those fucking off, dude.
Ground wires.
Yeah.
For the fucking supports.
What
That's
really
what I do.
matters,
That's
and you can
recorder
figure it out by math, is if you have any way to be able to measure the AC current coming through your speaker wire.
Yeah.
That's how you figure it out. Where, okay, it just like DC current, for your main power run, but for your speaker wire. So
Yeah.
if you're wired down lower, usually there's more current, but it
Hot
depends
take,
how
you
big
can
your
run
amplifier
like 100
is.
plus watts on stock fucking wire, fine.
Yeah, my rule is 100 watts on most cars, like 100 watts, and then more. Yeah, maybe replace it. Even if it's 150 watts on paper, you're never going to be
It's
clamping
gonna be
that.
fine, dude.
You know what I mean? You're rising to whatever impedance because it's a reactive load and it goes really high on mids normally. So if you ever watch like the impedance curve on mids and highs and stuff, it's pretty up there. So I mean, you're not really going to, if you have 100/4, chances are you're
And
not
then you
doing
throw 100/4, and then you're throwing a fucking high pass slope on it or something like that.
right.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's how Derek and those guys. He's got 2 Vex 10s on a fucking 3K. Okay, well, yeah, you're throwing a high pass on it, and you're not seeing that rated face value power.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tony, I want to take you to
Screaming.
like 1/0 to like fucking 10 gauge adapters. Get those made.
Yeah.
Use those fucking
If you
jumpers
think
and
that
shit.
like a regular speaker has impedance rise, I'll bet those Vexes are insane.
Probably.
Like, I'll bet they have like a crazy impedance rise.
It's
for
like
sure.
times 10 times 20. It's
Hey,
not
they
even.
sound fucking. Hey, but it didn't take much to get them moving though. Y'all saw the. I have a
that's the
video
thing,
of me
right.
with a Vex 10 with fucking 2 channels of it was a 100 by 6 2 channels bridged, and it was a beating on that Vex.
You should put them in your doors, dude.
I've still got 4 of them in stock.
You should go ahead and throw them in there and wait. Put them in the Taurus doors, dude.
Yeah, Vex 10s in the Taurus doors
Yeah.
are a beat, bro.
That'd be ridiculous.
I can't wait to hear mine because I never owned, mid-range, mid-bass drivers and all that fun stuff. And like you said, Casey, you want to have control, and Blake as well. I have each speaker on its own separate channel, and left and right, you got to the basics, man. Just
Yeah,
because
for
I was
sure.
even thinking of putting the 7s with the 9s, left and right, but I'm like, I bet you the 7s are going to want a different crossover just because they're smaller drivers, and to be able to really dial it in.
Yeah.
For the loss of power, because I'm not, bridging the amp down and splitting it up and having more channels at my disposal. Play it safe. I mean, again, 50 watts on these gets loud.
Oh yeah,
God, look at that unit, dude.
this is like 100 watts. It surprised me when it started.
You're right, God.
Holy crap.
You're right.
That was like Jesus Christ.
We're gonna get muted.
What kind of crossover are you using on that?
It was fucking full range, bro, because I didn't think it'd be enough power to do anything to it.
Here, I'll just turn the background music up so we don't get. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
We're good.
100 by 6 on a single Vex, bro. I was like, I thought going into making this video, which is like over, I guess almost 2 years ago now, that it wasn't gonna be enough to move that Vex, and it was giving it the fucking beans.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's their
And
Neo
that's
driver,
technically
right?
like half rated power, dude. Now don't get me wrong, I was running it full range. I'm fully aware, but still, like if you're not giving it your rated, that's a lot of people don't take into aspect.
It was getting
also.
like 15, 20 watts probably right there.
Yeah, so like, dude, if
Yeah.
you're not giving it, a lot of times, if you're not giving a speaker its max close rated power or RMS power, you can definitely play it outside of its like rated frequency range without bottoming out. So like right then, you saw that I was like playing like 40 fucking hertz on that Vex 10, and it was not bottoming out, and it was free air. You know what I mean?
And,
Oh,
and that's
I
kind of
wanna-
what I was going for, just so that I could get a fuller sound, because I got so many speakers for that one sub I have. I'll be able to get more, I'll be able to just, without. But that's the thing. Do you
How
just
many amps
wire
do I
up
need
and,
to
and,
get?
and do all that just so that you receive less power, or you just have more power on tap and just don't play it so hard so you can have a better full range? And that's
Dude,
where a lot of responsibility
headroom
comes
for
in.
mids. Yeah, headroom for mids is a huge thing, dude. Like,
Oh, yeah.
a lot of people don't realize. They're like, oh, they only will get so loud, blah blah blah. I have a 100-watt amp on this 100-watt RMS speaker. Well, it's never seen a 100-watt RMS, and like
No.
it's really surprising when you actually start putting like real power to these mids and giving
Think
them
it's
their
amazing.
RMS power. It gets insane, dude. Like when you start giving stuff their rated power as far as like mids go, especially if you're playing around with like these Neo drivers, like the Vex 10 and stuff. A Vex 10 on actual rated power would be nuts.
Yeah, they're really
dude,
crazy.
hear me out. EF removable loud pack with Vex 10s, and then with the BT ones.
That'd be sick.
It's a removable loud pack. You just open up the back and just a bunch of Vex tins in a big enclosure.
That's funny. Like it's a walled, but it's for a loud pack.
Yeah.
So I made it to that point in my life.
Yeah.
But no, going back to it too, and when you have multiple amplifiers, going back to the thermal thing, you could. A lot of people saw it slam. I was battling thermal protection. Abusing that one amplifier that I was driving that Salt 12 to thermal protect in and out of thermal, and that was the demise of a bunch of them. Where I was like literally sitting there demoing the amp at like 2 degrees below thermal, protect for 30, 45 minutes, with fans on it. And as Casey, when I swapped the 6 8Ks, I couldn't even get those things warm, dude. Because you had so much overhead that they're not breaking a sweat. So I generally, when you get into bigger power systems, I definitely recommend splitting up the load and doing multiple smaller amplifiers.
And they had no problem blowing every sub.
They
just kept going. They were still on. They didn't even go and protect.
I like this comment here. Now, when you guys both had your big systems going, how much RMS were you over of what your subs were recommended?
Double.
4.
Times 4?
Yeah.
Times 4. So he's
Real clamp
400%.
power, double though.
Yeah, probably.
Like real clamp power, double.
Face value
Right.
for clamp power, yeah, probably 2.
Okay. And
Yeah,
I
if
feel like
anything,
double is...
They were
is,
seeing
is
rated power at the
Yeah.
full, at 20 hertz.
right.
Full
Yeah.
clip.
How much is it really rated for, and how much is on the box? Right.
Sure.
And, man, how about you, Casey?
Double.
Double.
It was 5K a piece on the ZV6s, and I think that was like their sweet spot too. Like playing all day, they'd see like maybe 3, so it's still over RMS. But
Right.
I mean,
As long as
they
you
would
want
get
hard
really
play.
hot, but the cooling that was built into them is so good that
And-
it would keep the coil cool all day, but the motor would do its job and act as a heat sink, and you couldn't even touch the motors at the end of the day.
No, and I think that's the difference, because like running that L7X that I got, it's so different. Like it gets hot, and like you can like not stinky smell, but you can smell the resin, and it's like, but it's not going bad like the L7Rs. Like I can tell when I'm getting on those too hard. I can tell
How
when
does
I'm
it
getting
smell?
on it on the old Solo X18 too hard. I'm like, whoa, that's really bad. And this L7X is taking the RMS clamped, which is, because I'm wired so low. Back to the whole how low should you wire, whatever. And even with the dirty signal at 2,000 watts, and it's just like taking it. I'm like, man,
Swear, dude.
I had to baby my 18
Swear
with this
square away,
amp
dude.
wired higher, receiving less power. So with I just think it's cool, because now we finally got a dog in the fight with this SPL driver situation of just like how you're talking about with yours, Casey, of just they get hot, but that's what they're meant to do, and
Yeah.
dissipate the heat, but keep playing. And
Yeah.
it's night and day, man. It's awesome. I can't wait to get the 18, the 15s, and man, the 10s are even going to be beefy too, man. But one step at a time. It's going to be fun.
I want to smell the coils because like a lot of manufacturers, they have different coil smells.
It's
And
got
one thing
high temp, like
How do
600
they
degree
smell,
resin
though?
stuff. It's I remember it because Seth put it on mine, and it's still not good enough on my 18. But
Yeah.
it reminds me of his demo builds, because whenever he's playing, he's like, "Oh, they're good," and it's like you just smell that high temp resin getting hot, and it's just he keeps going. They ain't smoking, they're taking it, and it's got that weird, the smelly smells that smell smelly. You know that one.
Sure.
The
Now,
Pride
now,
subs
like
had
Mullen
such
said
a
this
strange
right
smell.
here, RMS is a suggestion. In all reality, it's in funny way, yes, and it is the way the suggestion would be. When people see a rating on paper like that, and we're going to say it's a reputable manufacturer, and I'm sure Kicker is this way, and I know for a fact Sundays is the way, it's out of Fuller's mouth. If you're sending the subwoofer clamped clean, rated RMS power, you're going to get full linear extension and output of the driver, and it's going to work like it's supposed to, and you're not going to battle thermal limits. And I specify clean clamped that power number. So it is a suggestion. But B, when they design these speakers, and when they either do the Clipple or the DATs or whatever it be, and they're pulling TS specs off these, there is no such thing. There's no value that says RMS on that sheet. Okay, so that is a manufacturer's safe label on that driver to be played on that amplifier, just like they have the rated box specs and all that stuff. It's like recommended. It's recommended for what? Okay, and that's been proven time and time again that you can take drivers that don't say they're meant for a special type application or says need something, and they can perform completely different within reason and within the limitations of the driver in a different enclosure.
Well said. Well said. Now, what about Boss Audio though? Where do they fit?
Didn't Boss I think Boss was on. They had the CE Outlook article recently, and I don't want to even pull the time to look it up. Where they're going to start doing like the RMS ratings on the amplifiers.
No,
I have to pull it up.
Really?
Now.
Oh, it's going to be like the Boss 150.
It's the Boss 50 times 2. Yeah.
Yeah. God.
Dude, speaking of like Boss and shit like that, I put in a dual radio today, like one of the new CarPlay units. I think they're made in the same place that Pioneer gets theirs now.
Mm-hmm. They got nice head units.
The only reason I don't put those in like ever, the only reason I did it is because it was a buddy, and he's like, "I bought this," and I'm like, "Why did you buy that? You should have called me first, whatever." But yes, I'll put it in for you. So I finished all my regular subcontract stuff today. Whenever it is, I put his radio in. And it actually sounded really good, dude. I was really surprised. It worked really good. And the features were good. It had full crossovers and everything. And I'm like, whoa. And then the sub sounded awesome. He has like a little, I think it's like an 8-inch, it's 8-inch Alphasonic like powered sub.
Yeah.
It sounds pretty good. Nice little setup.
You know, it's just like buying stuff at Walmart for the great value section. Sorry.
Sorry, no, you're good. I cut you off.
All I'm saying is, certain Boss products, certain cheaper products, you can't really mess them up too bad. You know, it's like the great value products at Walmart. Maybe, the donuts might not be the best choice, but you know, the canned SpaghettiOs, you can't really mess that up too much. And
it's the trickle down effect, man. Though, so like, and it's not just car audio. People think it's just car audio. OJ, I mean, you guys are aware. It's not just. It's every market period that gets overseas production. It trickles down. Okay, so when you have a product that comes out. If you have a product that comes out and it's the new and expensive and it has these new features to the industry, what that does, which is a great thing, but it also has tradebacks. When you bring something new or something that's premium to the industry, it creates a new standard level of expectation for, like premium features, premium stuff. What happens is over time, those things get copied and they trickle downhill. So obviously, the lower end companies want to have a viable product in the market. So they see, okay, what is the market wanting of these higher end products that they're spending the money on, and then it gets in. Okay, cool. They want 4-volt Freon. Okay, cool. We'll fucking get it for them. Do they want crossovers built in the radio? Fucking hook it up, bro. Is it going to be the best stuff on the market? Probably not. Okay, but dude, it's hard to make a bad product in 2023 if you use it like it's supposed to. I didn't mean to shine jag on it, but it's really, it happens.
I think that's the point right there. Technology's so advanced, it's hard to make a bad product in 2023. 100%.
Sure.
Yeah,
especially when you have people that are taking and bringing innovation and stuff to market. It's an ever-going battle. That's why you see Sundown, SA-V2, V3, V4. It's A, they're always innovating and bringing stuff newer to the market, making it better. But B, they have to, because that shit's going to get stolen and copied and feed us, delete is fucking spread out. And the next thing you know, it's in an open tool catalog. And to be competitive, you've got to make better and new stuff.
And not only that, but it's like with companies like that, you can call them like legacy companies almost, that you can pick any one of their products and it's going to be great. Like a SA Classic is one of the best sounding subs ever. Like it's a really, really good, well-rounded sub. It fits in a number of airspaces.
And they're like, I don't like SPL subs. You're like, hear me the fuck out. It's going to sound great, dude. Shut up and listen to me.
They sound really good.
Yeah.
Planet Audio actually did step up big time, dude. Their radios are... I should probably not even say this because someone's going to like play it back.
We're gonna drive the market value up on
Planet Audio, Boss, SSL, all of them. I mean, at least in my experience, I haven't really seen too many blow up. It's just, do they do rated? Are they
never
quality
always under somebody's fucking seat? The car has been sold 10 times.
Yeah. I mean, they're used to making that much power anyway for their amplifiers. Well, let's just put it in the head unit. It's about the same,
I've like in the last few years, I've warranted more Pioneer radios, like the entry-level Pioneer CarPlays and stuff like that, than any Planet Audio, any Concept, anything that we only could get because there was a shortage on radios. Like a lot of the Pioneers went bad. And the entry-level Kenwoods too, I've had a few go bad recently. So it's like... I don't know what's going on, dude. The whole market's upside down. Wow. I don't know what.
I didn't know Planet Audio made
in the Taurus or the Civic. I'm gonna do the audio control fucking interface for the Bluetooth adapter.
I was just gonna say I didn't know Planet Audio made head units. That's crazy.
I knew Boss did. They made it for a while, yeah. I would still avoid like the power acoustic. Some of the power acoustic ones are halfway okay. I use those at the
Is this
1000 by 4 rated head unit. That's what good.
Dude, Power Acoustics sucks.
You're
Still,
right,
dude.
Jeff.
What are you talking about?
No,
I
I'm
hate-
gonna say
I hate
no.
Power
They had they had the power. There's like an elite model. I have some at the warehouse. I'll show you that they donated for the Skills USA event, and that's the ones we installed last year. And don't get me wrong, it didn't have any crazy high end features, but it had like wireless CarPlay and shit built into it, and it had 6 channels out.
I know
Man,
wireless
if it was 2
CarPlay,
volt,
man.
4 volt, or whatever,
Nice.
I'm assuming 2 volt.
Yeah. Some of these new higher end brands have like 1 sub pre out and 2 volt outputs, and like
You're like, come on.
yeah, the sound quality just gets dunked on by a fucking concept. Like, dude,
You know, I was thinking of, instead of doing the whole low level RCA output, since I have the kicker amps and stuff, well, now having Warhorse can't do that because I don't think that takes the 40 volt like the newer ones do. But instead of using the RCA, you know, low level outs where that's just a resistor put in there, you know, it's not a true pre out.
Sure.
I always did want to do, you know, use the rear as the subwoofer section for the source, you know, and just have that high level to high level, higher noise floor, because the amplifiers can take it. And maybe down the road,
On a modern
I
one, a quality amp though, bro, you're not going to hear it. Don't get me wrong. Would I choose that for mids and highs and doors and stuff like that? Probably not. But dude, those kicker amps, they've been tested on high level and all that stuff so much, and they've built into it for like the noise floor. Your Scar amplifier, I'm not trying to just call it name brand bash. You run high level on that bad boy, you're gonna have a whine. A Terra amp, something like that, you're on high level, you're gonna have a whine. So
Yeah,
it really
dude,
depends on
pretty
the
Mm.
any
But nowadays,
DSA
those
amp
amplifiers
that's not
using the
Korean.
Stetson and fucking
Yeah.
Tipano. I don't give a shit.
Does that, I mean, I'm sure there's like some like chips involved in some stuff and wiring and quality of parts, but is that
It's fucking
more
no
so
mystery,
with the
bro.
ground
It's
with the
science.
RCA, how that's intertangled, if it's got a
That
common ground
and
inside?
filtering
It's filtering. Yeah.
Filtering.
Yeah.
Okay.
for sure. Yeah,
I like audio control. I really do like audio control.
every
I'm gonna
G
use
build
the.
I've done has audio control in it in the last like 2 years.
I'm doing the and the race car and probably the V8 Taurus. I'm going to do the what is it? The Bluetooth adapter 3 BT3, whatever it is. It has 6 channels out with 4 volt pre out, and I'm going to make a little interface with fucking voltmeters and shit on it, just with the radio on it. I mean, it's going to be sick because everything I play now on my phone. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
Right.
You also try Tidal. If you haven't tried Tidal
No
yet,
way.
it really makes a difference. I promise you it does. I promise you. I can do Amazon HD or Apple Music like in my car, and I'll play a Tidal track, and it's like totally it's just elevated. It's hard to explain. You can
but
ask
you
Scott.
also have to be. You have to, and I don't want to
Audio control. Do they make the LC1?
Yeah, LC1, LC2,
LC1,
LC7.
okay.
Yeah.
I know I see people use that all the time, and I'm like, you know, the Keylog kind of does that and a little bit more, but I do like audio control. You know, they make stuff like that. You know, that's what I know them for more, rather than the amplifiers that they make. But right,
They got
you know,
subwoofers out now. Did you see that shit?
really.
Yeah,
Really?
they got bought out by Amp. So I think that I don't know if their actual lineup is basically what the Phoenix Gold lineup was.
It's gotta be.
And the Phoenix Gold lineup wasn't bad, but
It didn't look like it was anything. I'm sure they sound great. Okay,
Yeah.
they but it's like a conventional. I got to pull it up already. Conventional stamped steel. I'd like to hear one. I mean, pull it up quick.
yeah, they look good, dude.
I'm not a fan of the open tool stamp.
It looks like an essay basket.
It does not look like an essay basket.
Just the way it stands on the. Well, it kind of looks like a mix between a.
It looks like a
What do I have
subwoofer.
on here?
I'll say that much. It does look familiar.
You
know.
can tell it's an
Nice.
open tool frame too. See how it has the block off plate on the
I
terminals.
bet it sounds
and
alright, dude.
It looks different. It's not. I wouldn't say it's a
Single
copy and
whistle.
paste, but
The motor look on their
I think-
motor looks clean though. That pulls. That's a.
yeah, the center pull piece. I like that. And
I
then
wonder if it's a
the-
3-inch. I like the grill. I'm not
I
mad.
love
Yeah.
the- I like the new logo too.
Yeah, I like the audio control
It's
logo.
pretty sweet.
that
They
is
have this
sine
one,
wave.
and
yeah.
then they have
279. Now what is it? Like 750 RMS, maybe?
Maybe 500.
500.
Ah, it's a little pricey
Max
for
is
5, but I
700.
mean, still
1 cube sealed enclosure though, not bad.
one cube
1.75
seal. So
corded.
she likes tiny. What's the
Not
QTC? QT total Q? 0.7 or what? Does that say total 0.72? Ported. She likes ported. Yikes. and then it works in a small seal. Maybe it's a nice driver. I don't know. You can't just tell by one parameter, but still, you know, gotta look at
audio
them.
control. It probably sounds good. Yeah, I'm sure it's super efficient like the amps. I'm sure it is. They
Ah,
have a shallow sub though. I'm gonna check out the shallow sub.
you know, I feel like shallow subs are just kind of hurting themselves to begin with. You know,
No,
and I know
dude.
Kicker
No,
makes.
dude. No,
Listen,
no, no,
I
no.
know.
Dude,
See, I
new
just
SML's fucking smack, bro. New
Yeah, hold the
Sunhouse-
fuck on, dude.
yeah, but when you have what is it, the underhung or overhung, it's the opposite, or you know, there's even hung too. But you know, you are kind of limiting yourself out the
This
gate.
is like
but
this is like a
for
smushed
a
Whoa, dude.
for a truck, it makes sense. You know, when you have small space, I
That looks
totally
like a
agree.
piece of shit.
But
it looks like it took a four.
I seen Big Jeff make a shallow woofer.
Dude, I
I've seen
think
how
Big
they're
Jeff
made.
made this speaker.
Okay.
Didn't he fucking make this with a subwoofer?
It looks like
how to make a
someone-
shallow sub?
No, dude, it looks like someone took the other one and stepped on the back of it and just pushed it in.
What's
Yeah.
the mounting depth?
Fuck me.
Probably
dude. Those-
under
It's 3.9, so it's still
That's
still
four.
deeper than the SML.
Oh my god. It looks like a factory
It's not
subwoofer.
shallow enough.
Here we go. Check this out.
It looks like a factory sub, dude.
I got Zach making bass videos. Now check this
Oh,
shit
man.
out. Boom.
American base.
The SML Slam. Bro, a TW5 JL sub is one of, it's probably the best shallow mount sub there is, and it's amazing.
Oh, that's right. It was an American base sub. That's
SML,
the one he
bro.
smushed. I know.
I'm happy with that for a shallow sub.
It's
Zach
sick.
did it. Yeah, Zach did that today.
He had comp
never
Rs in there, didn't he?
Do
Or
what now?
comp RTs
He had
before.
comp RTs, yeah. So we swapped it from comp. He had like a DX 400 on 2 comp RTs. We put 2 SML 10s and a fucking Trinity 3K in that motherfucker. And that is 2 SML 10s with a 3K on them. With
Woo.
Zach Wright beating on them for God.
I don't know
knows
how they're not blown, to be honest. He blows everything up.
It's all
I
clean
don't know.
power, man. You know,
Yeah.
as long as you ain't maxing out, you know, you're good.
He is though. He lives life maxed out, dude. Like
This is like these are one of my new favorite shallow subs though. They're like 3.7 something mounting depth. The fucking look at the leads on that for a shallow sub. That's some fucking tensile leads, bro.
Hold on, put it next to the audio control sub. How much is an SML?
Right at $200, something like that.
All right, so hold on.
Look, I have to find
That's
it,
like
Jeff.
this. That's cheaper than the audio controls. Shallow
Cheaper.
sub?
I'm not trying to talk smack. I'm not brand bashing that audio control. I guarantee
Uh,
I would put a crisp $100 bill that fucking SML smacks on that. I mean, on that audio control sub. It'd
Dude,
be like the Hutchinson versus the Gately for sure.
I've never. Dude, it'd be a way bigger difference. I've never had an audio control product I didn't like. Now, after like really digging into them, and
You wild, Travis.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Hey, Dave Graham says, yeah, and Dave knows his shit. He said SML Sunday has more output for less money. Already done it.
Yeah. Dang it, Bobby. This took it.
Here we go. Blow me up, Scott. Blow me up.
Oh, there we go. Boom. I got it. Andy found it.
Make it bigger.
Like under a seat or in the back of a truck or something. Like, we need a shallow woofer. They're like, hey, Big Jeff, I already bought a woofer like this. But
See, it's a
it won't
4-foot,
work
just
on
like
my
that. It's the
bass."
same fucking
I said,
sub.
we need to make it into a shallow woofer. They said, well, how am I supposed to do that? Well, this is how you do it.
Oh my god, dude. Here we go. That's how they made the audio control stuff. They stole this from Big Jeff.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a lot
Jesus,
of man hours making them
Dude.
flat like that.
DS18.
Cease and desist. Send them a cease and desist right now.
It's sure flat now. BigJeffAudio.com.
Oh my
Hit us up.
god.
That's awesome. Here, there we go.
I'm telling you, it's the same shit. It's the same. It's the same motherfucker right there.
It's the same sub, dude.
Yeah,
You
fucking
can take that to court.
underground boner garage would definitely make a better shallow sub.
Hmm. Well, he can do anything.
Or Jizz Llama. I bet he did.
I met
Robot
Bob,
Underground
you
could make
know,
one for
he
4 cents.
seems like a person. My buddy Soda, I mean, that's all he runs is American bass. He used to run Audio Pipe, but they didn't really give him no love. Been a competitor since '92, you know, and even Bob's kind of give him some issues too because he competes, and you know that happens. You blow stuff. And you know,
I
just from what I
almost
hear,
bought
I'm just
one
like,
American base from fucking Casey. This is back when I had that green. You almost talked me into buying an American based VFL or
it's
whatever.
not bad stuff. It's not.
When?
It's
When
not.
did I-
You know, like the
This
HDs,
is
the
before you
X-Max
moved to Virginia.
monsters, the XDs, everything. You
And
know,
then when I went to buy it from you, it wasn't available. You sold me the Image Dynamics.
I don't think I ever had it. No, dude, I had a JL sub. I had a 13W7.
You were gonna have James.
No, that was a Memphis. No. It was no Ryan XTR. Fuck.
No, it was
no-
not.
yes, it was.
You're gonna have to. We're gonna order it. It was the yellow cone VFL 8.
I don't remember that. Oh no, you're right. You're right.
I do. Because you're like, and I watched like 19 videos of it before I got it back in the car. They're like, I'm gonna buy this 8. I get there, he's like, yeah, we can't get it. I'm like, what am I gonna get? And I was like, he's like, well, I got this discounted Image Dynamics 8. I'm like, I'll take it.
who are we talking about, Trav?
That was that Sound Sensations.
He's talking about audio control.
Oh. Yeah, you don't want a difference on your left and right on your RCA output voltage, but I mean, right. You know, that's something you think about too when you're running your RCAs, you know.
We're talking about audio control?
I think so. I don't know. Audio control, American bass, something, you know.
Weird,
and
man.
that's the thing
I've
too,
never had
but
this issue.
companies aren't perfect, you know, where it's like, oh, well, we oversaw that, you know, or missed that. And
Dude, audio
for-
control almost is
you know-
though, dude. That's what I'm saying. Like, I've never had a bad audio control product ever. Not
never.
a single time. Not a single time, man. You can ask God.
So before I take in, now that the show's getting wrapped up and we still have people in here, I can kill it not talking about car audio. Did y'all see the fucking Game Boy I built today?
Yeah, dude. Is
This thing fucks.
that real? Is that walnut, dude? Red
It's
oak.
fucking legit.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
It's laminated plastic.
That's not birch, is it? Or
It's legit
you know,
birch. It's Russian.
Oh.
It's laminated Russian birch.
Oh,
Just another excuse to play with your wood all
13
day.
ply or
I'm touching this wood all day.
Is it 13 ply or is it laminated MDF? Is it 7 ply Chinese? What is it, Scott?
This is Chinese AF.
Chinese,
Chinese as fuck. But no, it's good. I'm gonna start doing I have like fucking 5 Game Boys now. I have a problem. My brother has a bigger problem, but way bigger problem. But yes,
Yeah, like-
I'm start modding
Oh,
Game Boys now. I did this
No,
one
it's just-
yesterday. This one I got essentially was broken, not working. It was disgusting. It was like brown and green and shit had been spilled.
Yeah, it's
Took it
pretty
apart.
gross.
That's just the Q-tips and the cup. That's not including the fucking
Damn.
paper towels, the toothbrush, and all that stuff.
that's
Gross.
your childhood dust you're
Yeah.
pulling out.
Fucking works now.
That was someone else's childhood dust, bro.
The
Here's where I
memories,
might have a
someone else's.
problem. Okay, and now I have fucking like 6, 7 Game Boys, and I frequent.
Yeah, that's like 7 different preteen dust collectors, basically.
Check this bitch out. Boom, boom. Dude, this place gonna get all my money. Here's the next one I want to build. I want to build the Slate Shell, where it's a fucking SP, this flippy boy, but not. It's flipped already,
And it's metal.
and it's metal.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So it's like
aluminum.
an original Game Boy, but still, you know.
But it's
newer
the internals of an SP.
one?
Yeah.
With
And
a
you
better
have a
screen,
crazy. You can use crazy screen mods in it.
Like LEDs, all kinds of
You have like fucking different contrast and fucking big mark for the. Yeah, there's a big mark. I'm thinking about having a whole retro section added to my fucking website and sell Game Boys that I'm out on there. I'm not even joking.
God.
You think
I'll
I'm
stick
fucking
to my
around?
emulators.
I am not, dude.
I stick to my emulator so I can just add my own cheats whenever I want, you know.
Wow.
A lot of
bro.
people aren't confident doing this. There's so many Game Boys out there that are like fucking 2 pennies in a used condom because they're broken or dead. But you can
True.
literally. You
Oh
have to
yeah,
be
you can repair them like a cell phone. Yeah, probably easy.
Yeah, so like here's the upgraded kit. Here's the fucking a screen that's bigger than the factory one, looks better than it ever did. You literally solder 1 wire to a fucking pad and 1 wire to the Game Boy, and you have a
That's
badass
it.
screen.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I know
fucking-
the screens were actually pretty nice on the SP. I mean, they were backlit. You know, the old.
Depends on what model you
colors.
know. There's a front lit model
Front
and a
lit,
back.
yeah.
There's a front lit and a back. AGS 001s are front lit and they're not good
Yeah.
screens. The 101s are backlit, but they go for a lot more money.
I think I had a front lit because you could see it on the side.
Yeah, so you had a 001, but you can get cases that are all fucking dope. All kinds of shit. That's
That
what I've
was
been
the
getting
last-
into.
I got out of the whole Nintendo Pokemon after that. You know,
I got
it
a
was
guy.
like Ruby
I have a guy,
and then-
Jeff.
Eh. I don't know. I got bicycles and then cars, and then I stopped playing those. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you get back into it, and then 30 hours of your life are gone. Do a whole campaign.
Well, it's
Now
refreshing
what? Do it again.
because it's like a childhood throwback for me. A, but B, the market is good right now where you can still get certain models on cheap, and the value is fucking dummy appreciating. And it's stuff that I don't have anymore from my childhood. And then us going from car audio, me doing all this stuff, the stuff that intimidated me years ago about repair and all that stuff, dude, I took that motherfucker. Yeah, exactly. Took that shit apart with nothing in a few minutes, and it had to figure it out. And they're all basic as shit how they work. My brother though, he has a fucking problem. This is my brother's question.
Dude, he has a big problem.
This isn't even all of them. This isn't fucking. Wow. This is just what he has with Game Boys. He has like a whole stack of DSs and lights and bullshit.
Well, that's what we look like with subs, man.
He's got a Pelican case that he
the kettle
pulls out.
black here.
He's got the Mac Daddy modded Game Boy SP with like the metal case and like all the crazy buttons, and like the fucking lithium battery and stuff. He's probably like a $300 Game Boy. You like bring out the case, like check it out.
May or may not have like 6 open and bids on eBay right now. JDM Game Boy Pockets, the backlit ones that aren't color though.
Yeah, it's sick.
You don't have a problem, Scott. Not at all. Not at all.
Okay, so I connected my brother over it, man. So like him and I, he doesn't really do car audio. He's not a huge car guy, but
he tried.
He tried. Here's some stuff he does. So he'll put like the color backlit IPS screens in the advances that didn't have color in them, like the backlit screen.
Yeah. Wow.
It's fucking sick. But
that's awesome.
Him and I talked more about Game Boys in the last month than I've talked to him in probably years, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Well,
so whatever it takes to reunite that.
Oh, exactly. It's not that we had anything bad or anything. It's just you find something you connect over, and I'm like, fuck it, I get some modern Game Boys now, and I've always loved them and wanted them. So it's like lets me get my shit and take in hang out with my brother. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I'm trying
I
to
still
find
got my Game Shark, man. Got to have the Game Shark.
Yeah, I've got a Game Shark. Casey got one.
Yeah, I saw it yesterday. You busted it out. I'm
Pelican.
Like, I could never afford one of these as a kid. We were poor.
It's what I was. I keep making the reference
all
to
my
like,
games with it. I'm upset.
I keep making the reference to Step Brothers. Is like you like them now, like even better when we're 30.
Yeah,
It's like fucking sick. Dude, I am a way stronger Pokemon trainer. I would kick the fuck out of myself when I was 10 years old. I'll take any Pokemon generation trainer I was, and I will kick the dog shit out of myself. Go on, Derek.
Derek, what is up? When they having another Sundown After Dark podcast? I know they do it like once a month.
It's every year. It's annual podcast now. Biannually.
Biannually.
Jesus.
Oh, that's not too bad, I guess.
Whenever Ryan wants to do it.
Oh,
I'm sure we'll have them leading up to the Sundown show. Here we go. Here's Cameron spread. This is not all of them either.
Oh wow.
The one in the top right is the Mac Daddy, dude. You ever watch Pulp Fiction at the end, or where he opens the case? He said, "Yeah, we're good." It's like the gold shining. It's the same thing when he pulls out the Pelican
You're
case.
good, man. But yeah, I'm gonna go back to where to go. He's
Dude, Black Diamond amps are good.
Black Diamond amps aren't bad.
They're cheap, and they have backlit fucking acrylic backplates and stuff. It's super sick.
Well, but they have like high voltage cutoff. Like I think if you go above 15.1, they turn off. There is things to them, but
dude, it's like a $200 amp.
So I'm saying it's not bad, but there is drawbacks. Like you don't think you're gonna throw it in there and do 16-volt one or anything.
The only thing the BS18 has been semi involved in as far as low budget amp wise. I think it's under their umbrella, but it's the only thing they've been involved with low budget amp wise that doesn't have an alternator one, just built into it.
Wow.
I don't know how I would do a fucking Game Boy or a PS4 controller for a bass knob. Unless
that'd be sweet, dude. Get the OG Fat Boy, dude.
You just
gotta do it stats, Scott. Come on, man.
Yep.
I mean, I can put a fucking potentiometer in it. That's not how I make it cool. Hell yeah. How I will get video. No.
Nice. I like Derek's content. I really do. Being a kicker
I agree.
guy.
And they look good too.
Shoot.
Yeah.
It's just it's quality stuff. It's up my alley. I'm like, oh yeah, let's do it. Because there's a lot of people in there. They're wondering how this SPL stuff works, or power and stuff.
Yeah, no, and I wasn't brushing. I'm gonna carry it too. Like it's not a bad product. I like
I love stuff like that, you know, like, oh, it's only $200 for 2K and whatnot, and it works.
What are you
But
going to
then
compare it to for the money?
efficiency, you might be paying as much as you would for a amplifier that costs more, that's more efficient. You know, just diminishing returns. You might have to go get some lithium, you know,
So
just to
here's
be
a
able
good
to do that
example of it.
2K.
They're still
Okay,
quite
so
neat.
that you're for that $200 price range, you're going to get a Sound Cubed S1 850, a Sundown SFB 600D for less,
Yeah.
or
Right.
for fucking $20 more, you get the fucking Black Diamond 2K.
Yeah.
Right.
I
I mean,
it,
it makes sense. It totally makes sense, and
Sure.
I feel like it's just
For your
they're
average
not, they
guy.
cannot be making much money off it though. You know, they
I'm
just
sure they make fine.
Oh, they are. Yeah.
Do you really think that they
make a
lot of money off of 200?
Yes.
That's insane.
Okay, Andy, they
That
buy
scares
so many
me
of
a
those amps
lot.
at a time that when they warranty one, they don't send that shit to get it fixed. It gets thrown in the fucking dumpster, and they send the dealer another one.
Wow.
Yeah. I guarantee they don't have. Well, I'm not-
There is no repair.
but they're
Yeah.
probably making good. Well,
See,
I feel
my
like
thought,
that's
Jeff,
everybody's
yes,
kind of goal though, is to get a 2K amp for $200, but it always turns out to be like $300, $400, $500. And I mean, even
Sure.
at that price, it's not terrible. It's really not.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the CX1800 does 2K. It's $500 amp, but is, you know, the efficiency it really, because then you got to make sure it does that, you know, 14 volts to do that 2K, and also, you know, just how efficient is it? It might be just dragging your voltage down to 10 volts to be able to do that 2K. Next thing you know, you're frying your alt, you know, or your battery in the back. It's just not strong enough, and you can't play
Well,
like
that
that for
just
too
goes
long,
back
and
to-
the amp gets hot.
And
Or if
that's
you
not-
run
that's
something that's
not a
more
Black Diamond thing.
expensive,
That's the point of entry
more
now
efficient.
is too low for a lot of power now, though, because those guys see that low price tag on that 2K amp, and there's nothing wrong with the product. The Black Diamond, that's fine. But
No.
for average guy getting into it, they just see the price tag, and they'll buy it and not have the electrical. But he was saying that he's got guys that are like 0.3 return rate, so I do believe it. So if you think about it, that's guys that are having stock electrical systems throwing fucking 2Ks and shit on them that are making the rate of power, and they're doing pretty good.
Yeah. And going off what Big Jeff says, this is not true. Margins are normal. Margins are all over the place right now. It's like, what is normal anymore?
It does, yeah,
There's some big
normal
brands
for
now
the
that you
brand.
don't make fucking anything on. And it's like, now I got to make money on like the little parts and shit, the install.
That's
just like- I'm always going to sell products that take care of their dealers and take care of the people who, you know, buy their product and stuff. That you can actually make a little bit of money on it.
I just,
Yeah.
you know, I learned young, you know, when mama says it's too good to be true, it probably is. You know, you're definitely giving up something. You might not even realize it or might even care for it. So, you know, it might definitely work. And
Well,
for the
no-
average base head coming in, yeah, $200, that's a deal. But I feel like those are the people that are the 0.3% return in it because they don't have upgraded electrical. You know,
Sure.
just because it's an amplifier, it does a lot of power for cheap. They don't know that they do need a battery back
He's
there
got
and
a
they're melting
stock alt and a
fuses.
battery from fucking 2018. You know,
Yeah.
The
CCA,
$79
zero
Walmart
gauge,
battery.
running front to back, and their fuse holders melting. They're wondering why.
turns the
You
truck
know?
off at fucking 11 volts every day because he beat all the way into his driveway.
Yep,
Dude, you want to
yep.
know something I've noticed? The only thing inflation hasn't touched is fucking $79 Walmart batteries. They've been $79 for like 20 years.
Can't
Yeah.
beat it.
Just
No,
throw one
I
of
think
those.
the margins are going to be good, Jeff. Yeah, they're fine. But we're also seeing, you know, the dealers make 45%. Yeah, distribution dealers obviously a little bit different.
45% would be great. A lot of brands you don't even make close to that.
Yeah, some of them you don't see that as a dealer. It's fucked. But
Hey, if
anyway,
If I made
we're
45% on
flipping
every brand, I'd be set.
valid. The guys, at the end of the note, though, we're stepping over toes. Andy's got his show on tonight, guys. He comes on at 10 o'clock. He's got about 20 minutes before it starts.
Hey,
This has been a Roll
Hey.
Thunder episode. Actually, no, he's got 13 minutes before his show goes live. I'm sure he's got to pee and get a drink.
Exactly.
Episode 79. We've had a lot of people in the chat tonight. It's been interactive. Thank you guys, and I appreciate everyone. Make it a killer fucking weekend. Y'all got anything to
Yeah,
close
man.
with?
Heck yeah, man. It was a blast and cool topic. And man, had awesome people in the chat asking questions. Man, we're here every Friday, and of course, I got my show after.
You
so
good, Jeff?
appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Casey made it. Thank you, man.
yeah, man. I'm stuck in traffic. Atlanta.
Hey, happens. ATL, man. I get it.
Yes,
I
sir.
get it.
All right, boys.
All right, everyone.
Good night.
Cool. You have a good night, guys.